Hello students, today we shall be taking up Discovering Truth, the Saga Continues by A.R. Williams from Hornbill, the NCERT book for class 11. Students, this is an interesting chapter that talks about Tutankhamun, the Egyptian king who lived from 1343 BC to 1325 BC. His tomb was discovered in the Valley of the Kings. A.R. Williams is a science fiction and fantasy writer. Well, he developed a love for reading at a very young age. In fact, he quite fondly read comics of Spider-Man and X-Men, and he was also fond of reading fantasy stories and science fiction adventures. Now, before we go on to the reading and explanation of this particular chapter, I really want you all to have a look at this list of difficult words or phrases. Forensic, what do you mean by forensic reconstruction? That is an activity of building again something that has been damaged. Then casket gray, gray or grim like a coffin. Casket is basically a coffin, okay? Scudded means moving fast across the sky because of the wind. Funerary treasures, these are the collections of valuable things that are there at the time of the funeral. Then ritual raisins and raisins. Raisins here refer to the sticky substances which result in condensation, and raisins that are applied according to religious rites are ritual raisins, okay? Scientific detachment, that is aloofness of a scientist. Severed is cut off. Intriguing is something which is interesting because of being unusual. And computed tomography, it is a technique for displaying a cross section through a human body using X-ray through computer. Gilded is something which is covered or coated with gold, and resurrection is rising from the dead. Now, steps to be followed for a clear understanding of this chapter. Now, all the children who are watching this video, all those class 11 students, my recommendation is that you divide this chapter into these 6 points, and you will really find it very simple and easy for you to understand the whole chapter. Now, let us see. Howard Carter was an important person, children. Howard Carter, who had been digging in the Valley of the Kings for the last 15 years, okay? He was the first person to discover Tut's tomb there in 1922, okay? The valley lay a few miles away from the west bank of Niles, all right? Then we have Zahi Hawass, the Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. He took Tutankhamun's mummy for a CT scan, and this was in 2005. He criticized the way in which Howard Carter dealt with Tutankhamun's mummy. Why? We will read this in the chapter, okay? Then we should also know about the Egyptian concept of resurrection. And when we talk of resurrection, we come across terms like ritual raisins, funerary treasures, etc., etc. So as we read the chapter, you will come across these interesting, intriguing terms. How archaeology has changed substantially, and now basically the focus is more on the fascinating details of life and intriguing mysteries of death. Then, of course, very briefly, the author also touches upon Tutankhamun's history and lineage. As I told you earlier, the chapter starts with Zahi Hawass in the Valley of the Kings. He is going for Tut's CT scan, and it ends also with Zahi Hawass expressing his relief and commenting that all went well. So, well begun is half done, and all is well that ends well, as Shakespeare said. So now let us go on to the reading and explanation part of the chapter. Now, very briefly, this introduction has been given for us. He refers to Tutankhamun here. He was just a teenager when he died, the last heir. Okay, the pronunciation is not here, children. Some of us do say that, but it is heir, the last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. He was laid to rest laden with gold and eventually forgotten. Since the discovery of his tomb in 1922 by Howard Carter, the modern world has speculated about what happened to him, with murder being the most extreme possibility. Now leaving his tomb for the first time in almost 80 years, Tut has undergone a CT scan that offers new clues about his life and death and provides precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of the boyish pharaoh. Pharaoh refers to the king, okay? Now, reading is extremely important, students. I am just explaining this particular part. Now let us see what is happening here. The moment King Tut leaves his resting place for CT scan, an ominous atmosphere builds up. An angry wind stirred up ghostly dust devils. Dust devils here refers to the clouds. So this is perhaps a reflection of something mysterious that occurred 3,300 years ago. Here, the author describes a scene wherein tourists from around the world descended into the cramped, rock cut tomb, which was approximately 26 feet underground, to pay their respect. Okay, so all these people who have come to visit and pay their respect, they all went 26 feet underground. They gazed at the wall murals. Murals, you can see the images of the murals on the slide, in the burial chamber, and saw Tutankhamun's face that was golden in glittering gold. Some of these tourists reflect on the Pharaoh's curse, all right, that will fall upon those who disturbed Tut's eternal sleep. So this was the Pharaoh's curse, children, that if somebody will move him from his eternal sleep, somebody will disturb him from his eternal sleep, some curse will fall upon them. Okay, now we should also know that the Valley of the Kings is also known as the Valley of the Gates of the Kings, and this is a valley in Egypt where for a period of nearly 500 years, from the 16th to 11th century BC, rock cut tombs were excavated for the pharaohs and powerful nobles of the new kingdom. Zahi Hawass blames Howard Carter for the bad condition of Tutankhamun's mummy. Now, tomb, though ransacked earlier, had its contents still intact, and the tomb contained jewelry, pieces in glittering gold, along with articles of everyday use like cases of wine, food, board games, etc., etc. There was a shroud which was covered with garlands of spring season plants and flowers like willow, olive leaves, wild celery, lotus petals, and cornflowers. And the presence of these flowers and leaves indicated that Tutankhamun's burial must have taken place in the months of March or April. Okay. Now, why did Carter face trouble? Okay. Now, Howard Carter faced trouble because Tut's mummified body cemented to the bottom of the gold coffin due to hardening of ritual funerary reasons. Okay. So, then he kept Tut's mummy cemented to its gold coffin out in the blazing desert sun, and which the purpose of which was to heat it up to 149 degrees Fahrenheit, but it was of no use. The sun can beat down like a hammer this far south in Egypt, and Carter actually tried to use it to loosen the raisins, but it was of no use, children. Well, Howard Carter defends himself, and you can see this particular image. This is British archaeologist Howard Carter. He emerges from the tomb of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun, and he's holding a box of archaeological artifacts. So we can say this, that he basically used unscientific methods and illegitimate ways because he was focusing more on the treasure and less on cultural and historical aspects. So he kept Tut's mummy cemented to the gold coffin out in the blazing desert sun, heating it to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. But when nothing moved, nothing budged, children, he had to chisel away the mummy to separate it from the gold base. And in his defense, he said that he had no choice. Had he not cut the mummy free, thieves would have circumvented means outwitted the guards and removed the gold adornments. Okay. Now, with advancement, archaeology changed substantially, children. Now there is more focus on mysteries of life and death. An anatomy professor in 1968 found out through X-rays that beneath the ritual raisins that covered Tut's chest, his breastbone and front ribs were missing. Well, computed tomography, that is CT, is another tool of modern archaeology. In this, hundreds of X-rays in cross section are put together like slices of bread to create a three-dimensional virtual body. However, two questions were still unanswered about Tutankhamun. How did he die? And what was his exact age at the time of his death? Now, in the next slide, we will take a look at Tutankhamun's lineage and rule. Okay. How did Tutankhamun die is not clear. His demise was a death knell for his dynasty. Tut's grandfather Amenhotep III, he ruled 18th dynasty for 40 years. His son Amenhotep IV succeeded him and brought far-reaching drastic changes. This new king promoted the worship of the sun, that the Aten, 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 and even changed his name to Akhenaten. When he went a little wacky, wacky means somebody who is irrational or eccentric, he even moved the religious capital from Thebes to Akhenaten, which is now known as Amarna, Amarna. After Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler, Smenkhare, ruled for a very brief period, and finally Tutankhaten ascended the throne. Now Tutankhaten changed his name to Tutankhamun and oversaw a restoration of the old religious ways. He reigned for around 9 years, children, and then he died unexpectedly. Now, the boy king changed his name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun because he believed himself to be the living image of Amun, the old god of Egyptians, and wanted to restore the glory of the old ways. Now, let us talk a little bit about the Egyptian mummy project. Okay. Now, the Egyptian mummy project, which began an inventory in late 2003, had recorded around 600 mummies. Okay. So, it has scanned the mummies with a portable CT scan machine, which was donated by National Geographic Society and Siemens. Now, Tutankhamun's was the first mummy that was scanned. Tut's mummy was scanned on 5th January 2005 in less than 3 hours. A minor snag occurred during the scan as desert sand entered the cooler fan. Now, let us read this part, especially this one where it says, with Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology, forensics, and anatomy began to probe the secrets that the winged goddesses of a gilded burial shrine protected for so long. Now, winged goddesses here refers to Osiris. Okay. Now, the night of the scan, what happened? Let us see. Workmen were carrying Tut from his tomb just like a pallbearer. Who's a pallbearer? A person who is helping to carry uh, or officially escorting a coffin at a funeral. Okay. So, just like pallbearers, they climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside, then rose on a hydraulic lift into the trailer that held the scanner. 20 minutes later, two men emerged, sprinted for an office nearby, and returned with a pair of white plastic fans. So, what had happened? The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in a cooler fan. Curse of the Pharaoh, joked a guard nervously. So, Curse of the Pharaoh is clear to all of you by now, I believe. It refers to that, it basically means that death or misfortune will fall upon those who will disturb Tut. Okay. So, well, thankfully, the substitute fans worked well enough to finish the procedure. And after checking that no data had been lost, the technicians turned Tut over to the workmen who carried him back to his tomb. So, in less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin, the pharaoh, that is the king, again rested in peace where the funerary priests had laid him, children, so long ago. Okay. And back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing images of Tut on a computer screen. So let us see what were the results of the CT scan. The CT scan of Tut's body revealed astonishing images like a grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels. Neck vertebra appeared as clearly as in an anatomy class, and other images revealed a hand, several views of the rib cage, and transaction of the skull. Okay. So other images, all these things revealed all this, but for now the pressure was off. Sitting back in his chair, Zahi Hawass smiled. So now, there is no pressure. He is, there is no stress for the time being. And he is smiling and he says, he looks relieved. All right. He looks relieved. So he smiled, visibly relieved that nothing had gone seriously wrong. I didn't sleep last night, not for a second, he said. I was so worried, but now I think I will go and sleep. So these are his words, okay, Zahi Hawass. By the time we left the trailer, descending metal stairs to the sandy ground, the wind had stopped. The winter air lay cold and still like death itself in this valley of the departed. We are talking of the valley of the king's children. Just above the entrance to Tut's tomb stood Orion, the constellation that the ancient Egyptians knew as the soul of Osiris. Osiris is the god of the afterlife, watching over the boy king. So, this is where the chapter ends. And if you remember, it started into the chapter starts also like that, okay, with Zahi Hawass in the Valley of the Kings. Now, being the Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquity, Zahi Hawass shouldered the sole responsibility of supervising, the smooth and safe scanning of King Tut's mummy. Conscious of the great responsibility and even the fear of the ancient curse of the pharaoh, he was quite tense and worried before the CT scan, as we saw in the beginning of the lesson. And now, obviously, when everything went well, and they were able to see, they were able to observe the scannings and the results they were able to see. So he obviously felt relieved when everything was over without any major hitch and delay. Okay, so that is all for now, children. I hope you were able to understand everything. Thank you for watching.